introduce our next speaker as well. I'll just sort of read out his bio. It's Les Morgan, who runs YPO CFF. He's an REF forum leader, an EO facilitator, founder of Inscaping Retreats, honorary member of Virtual Advisory Board, global chapter at United Kingdom. He's also YPO certified forum facilitator, working with leaders across Europe on personal development and greater self-awareness. He focuses on culture change, leadership, trust, and importance of values and the measurement to ensure sustainable organizations. He's worked in the public, private, and educational sectors with clients including WL Gore, which is UK's best company to work for in 04-07, Ernst & Young, Switzerland, UK and Ireland, the London Metropolitan Police Service, World Health Organization, Scottish Enterprise, Glasgow Caledonian University, Edinburgh University. It's a long list and never ending, but let me welcome in Les Morgan.
Thanks for inviting me. What I'm going to talk about tonight is something that fundamentally could change your life. The whole experience of Forum is to become your authentic self, rather than the self that you present to everyone and all the difficulties lie behind the mask. The work I do, the most enjoyable work I do, and I do lots with charities, schools, universities, churches, whatever, the most enjoyable work is Forum work, because it's serious conversations. Because for me, life is serious stuff. Although we'll get the happiness at some point later on, although leadership and happiness, does that work? It should. I'm going to go through a few slides, but before we start, I just want to take a minute out for you just to relax and fundamentally come into the room and be present, fully present, not having a chit chat at the high tea, not thinking about going home, but just to take a breath, to relax, because I just want to ask some questions. So for a minute, just either close your eyes, avert your eyes, look at the floor, and I just want you to just focus on your breathing. I want you to become aware of it, just to become aware of yourself and how your breathing is at the moment, and to become aware of something that happens automatically. And then just to slightly lengthen your breath, so you're taking control. And as you're breathing out slightly more, slightly longer, just let the shoulders fall and just start to relax so that you're fully present in the room. You're becoming more of your natural self, and it's a safe place. And I want you to think of how you feel when you're in a safe place. Where does your mind go when I say somewhere safe for you? What does that feel like? What does that look like? And what word would you use to describe that? Okay, slowly come back as suits yourself. So what I want you to do is just give me some words that appeared in your head or your heart as I mentioned it.
Calm.
Calm.
Peace.
Peace.
Family.
Family.
Happy.
Happy. Any more?
Curious.
Curious. Grounded. And that's why it's called the present, because it's a gift. It is the present. Content. And I just wanted to do that because it's amazing how quickly you can do it if you start focusing in, not focusing out. I run retreats that are called Inscaping retreats because most people escape, they go outwards. And if you've got pain, people escape, drink, drugs, sex, work, exercise, videos. Your answers are all inside you. They're not anywhere else. And if you're looking outside, you're looking in the wrong place. So it's that journey in, it's the inscape, not the escape. And the reason I wanted to do that and get it from you, because this is really your session, it's not my session per se, it's your session. It's for me, you've just described Forum, because that is the sort of place it should be. It should be calm, It should be peaceful. It should be a family affair in that sense. We've talked about family forums. It should be a pause. It should be happy. Fundamentally, if you're not able to have fun and enjoy, you will not grow. When you're happy and joyful, you can learn because you feel safe. If you don't feel safe, the first thing that shifts in your head is the ability to be creative, because you go into fight, flight, freeze. And so unless you are in a state of coherence, and I work with horses to do that for people, young people that have challenges physically or mentally, the safest place they will find is on a horse, because the horse co-regulates their heart. So they will always talk about going there and having fun, because they get assisted by the horse in a way they don't get assisted by humans. Humans are merely clever, animals are wise. Certainly curious, there should be love, certainly should be grounded, definitely present, and you should be content. So, just a little thing that if a forum works well, that's exactly what you'll get. And you don't get that too often. And the reason I do the forum work is for that very reason. It's the deepest work I do, it's the most enjoyable work I do, and it's also the most rewarding, because you're helping people actually become happy and content and able to grow. So, dare to be you. That's the greatest challenge in life. Because as soon as you're born and you're authentic, if any of you have watched any of the Gabor Mate videos, if you haven't, he's the man of the moment as far as I'm concerned in terms of trauma. You're born authentic. Over the next few years, you become attached to parents and you learn to behave in a way that they need you to behave in order to stay alive. Humans are have the longest growth period to independence of any species on the planet. We're also the only species on the planet that kills each other. So we're born authentic. We then get schooled. School from the Greek scholi, to put into, education from the Latin educare, to lead out of. And what happens is we basically separate the head from the body. Forum can unite it again. Because in essence, most organizations want to get from here to there. You want that as a career for yourself. You want that for your business. The only way you'll be able to achieve it is to go the emotional learning route. And this is the key point of coping, because just as I've said, until you can cope, you will not feel safe. And unless you feel safe, you will not take risks to grow. It's that simple. But you don't get taught that at school. So it is about risk. And the only constant in life is change. And yet what do we get schooled for? To deal not with change. So we get taught in schools the opposite of what we need to do for humanity. This is the book of life, needless to say. And it's difficult to read, and probably everybody gets fed up after the first few pages. But it's not what happens outside you, it's what happens inside you that determines the quality of your life. And if you can position yourself in the right place, the world, the sun, the moon is your oyster, but you have to do the work. So what is a forum? Forum is a small group of peers that meet regularly in total confidential environment to exchange ideas and experiences, to support each other on the issues that matter most to them. YPO and Forum was created back in the 50s. Forum's morphed. DLC are taking it another step. But in issues, it's the issues that matter to you. Most people saw it as business back in the late 50s, 60s, 70s. Forums are now far more about EQ than they are about IQ. Why join a DLC forum? There are various things on the website, but access to learning, strategic learning relationships, exclusive business and personal content, and proprietary insights. Forums will have a difficulty, and it's something you should be aware of, people join forums for 3 different reasons. Usually, often networking, business growth, and personal growth. And when I put this slide up when I work on forum retreats, what happens is most people, it's interesting, even you can run a whole session on it. Why did you join a forum? And have that discussion. So you're learning about the individual human being, not the business person. This is about a person, not a position. Very different. This is about a human being, not a human doing. So even putting your point as to why you join a forum can help the forum understand who you are and the best way to help you. Seek first to understand, then be understood. The IQ world about understand me first. You know, how many people next door might have been speaking to somebody but looking over somebody else's shoulder for somebody better to speak to. And the challenge is it's not their fault, it's the fault of the person that's speaking to them that sees that, because they should be saying, I'll let you go and do what you need to do. You need to get into discomfort. You have to be comfortable with discomfort, because only when you're in discomfort are you growing. And just look at children that want to walk. Doesn't matter how many times they fall or hit their head, they want to walk. So a classic diagram on communication, but level 5 communication, ritual and cliche. Oh, hello, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? Do we want an answer? Nah, we're just doing the ritual. You know, if you get up in the morning at work, at home, and you meet a spouse or an offspring, you might grunt, you know, as you come out the bedroom in the morning. So that's the ritual. The gossip and fact is the next level. Oh, did you see the program last night on X, Y, and Z? Oh, did you see the traffic today? Oh, isn't it like blooming winter again? You know, we're just moving the molecules. The only time that you start to appear, the first time you start to appear, is in ideas and judgments. You offer something. And if I'm a small child at school and my mum's always told me to answer the teacher's questions, and the teacher asks a question, I go, please, Liz, please, Liz. Yes, Leslie. And I give her an answer, and she said, oh, don't be silly, Leslie, we did that last week. Where do I go? I go back down to gossip and fact. I'm not going to take the risk anymore. Then we move up to level 2, which is emotions and feelings, because emotion comes from the Latin emo term, meaning to move. If there's no emotion, there is no movement. So don't let all these IQ people that say, you know, the facts are the real thing. If I don't trust you and you've given me the best facts on the planet, I don't trust the facts. Simple. Business comes in at ideas and judgments. And that's really about maintaining business. And if the only constant is change, you're going to have to change to be sustainable. Forum comes in at emotions and feelings. And that does deal with change. If we come back in 72 hours, all of your skin will no longer be there. That's what creates the dust. If we come back in 9 months, there's not one cell in your body that will still exist. So who are you? You yourselves exemplify change. And peak is when we've lived with each other or talked to each other, worked with each other for so long that we're at a social event, you're at one end, I'm in the other, somebody walks in, we look at each other and we both know exactly what we're saying. But that's what animals do straight off the bat. That's why they're wise and we're merely clever. And that's when you get into a thrive, and that's about legacy. That's about your children. That's about walking the talk, which is what most parents don't do. So, 5 forum success principles, fundamentally, to enable that to happen. Confidentiality, commitment, structure and protocol, values and norms, and authenticity. Very briefly, confidentiality, nothing, no one, never, forever. Very unusual. We love to talk and tell. This is about self-regulation. Forum regulation, self-regulation, same thing. Notes and flip charts and emails. Many will destroy that straight after the meeting. It's not even pick it out of the bin. Immediate exclusion if you break it. You may be able to go to the moderator and tell a story and they can possibly bring you back in, but it's immediate. And the moderator is the leader of the culture, sets the DNA And the moderator should be moving from safe to brave. Safe is more of the same, but maybe better. Brave is something different. And if we're living in a constant change world, that's the only place you're going to exist. Commitment is the first thing in your diary every month. Some forums will work a year ahead. They're in. There is no excuse. And if you miss one, that might be okay, but miss two and you have to reapply to get back in. Because as soon as you miss one, you're basically saying to the rest, I'm more important than you because you've turned up, but I've got a very busy diary. Bad news. On time every time. Many forums will fine people for being lateness and they'll use that fund at the end of the year to have a bit of a party. But again, turn up regularly late and you won't stay in the forum if forums run well. Updates the day before, because you're coming to a forum with updates. Many people that are busy come in, maybe arrive 5 minutes early and do their update. That'll be a very thin update. Updates need to be done, distilling it. What are the most important issues to you? What is keeping you awake at night? What's the top 5% and bottom 5% of your life? Because unless that's the update, the forum presentations, of which there are normally 2 every forum, will not be deep. Are you up for emergency meetings? I did one facilitation recently in Iceland from a British forum where the one person said, I don't have a date in my diary till November. Doesn't have a forum. Total presence, normally devices are left outside. And the challenge should be constantly there in terms of growth. Structure and protocol, it's 50 years of wisdom. Basically, forum principles started back in the mid-50s, early 60s in New York. It moves things from efficiency to effectiveness, which is what your body does, until you start abusing it with drink, drugs, whatever it is, lack of exercise. It is emotion with security. It's non-judgmental. It has to be non-judgmental. You never use you. It's back to that classic thing that if I point at you, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me. You never point. Rules, the competence, it's a procedural aspect because it's a framework. But the key is the DNA. I talk about the human body is the best example. It's the most advanced thing on the planet. And the reason it works is because the DNA is in every single cell in your body. One cell goes rogue and the cancer starts. It's the same for organizations and they still haven't learned it. It's no different. I could ask you now, name the people that should not be in your organization. 10 seconds later, you tell me. What's that about? So, it's the clearest mirror reflection that you'll get of yourself. And it's about values and norms that you all agree. Involvement equals commitment. Most values in organizations, I would say 95% of organizations have values that maybe the chief exec or the board created, they're up on the wall, everybody else is asked to do them, and the first people to break them are the people that created them. Because it just creates cynicism. So you're better not having values for most organizations. And it's about the character. IQ's competence, EQ's character. And the last one is authenticity. Like life, you get out what you put in. Although one weak member, one weak cell, one rogue cell can weaken or kill the forum. Must know you to serve you. I can't serve you if I don't understand you. So if you've put on a mask and are giving me the front stuff, you might come with an issue. I actually can't help you because I don't know who you are. How many relationships have you been in like that? You have to be comfortable with discomfort because all growth comes from discomfort. Self-awareness is the start of all change. The world begins to become aware of climate change and it starts to change. But before that, same. Same for a person, same for a family, same for a team, same for a business, same for a community, same for a country, same for the planet. That's what wisdom is. It works for one person, it works for the planet. Cleverness is individual and selfish. And it's about leaving a legacy. If I were to distill forum into one diagram, it would be the Johari window. You can look this stuff up net, no problem. But fundamentally, What you know about yourself and is known to others is the open one. So you've met somebody tonight, you've had a chat, you know a tiny little bit. Quite often, the easy one is when you feel safe enough, psychologically safe, you will reveal stuff of yourself that is not known to others. The difficult one in Forum, and that's why Forum works if it moves from safe to brave, is your blind spot, what people know about you but have not told you. And how do you tell uncomfortable stuff in a safe and compassionate way? That's crucial in Forum. Because until these two happen, box 2 and 3, you will never get to box 4, which is not known to self and not known to others. So I give people puzzles that nobody individually can solve, but collectively they come to the answer because they've given up the need to know. And so it's when box 2 and 3 combine that you can then solve. So the shared discovery, which is what Forum is about, is you get box 2 by feedback, box 3 by self-disclosure, but unknown, the magic happens in box 4, which is about shared discovery. That's Forum distilled. That's, if you put it in a pot and boil it, that's what's left. But to create that takes time. Different cultures have different time periods, different ways, different structures. The framework of Forum enables you to go there. That's the key, and that's why everybody has to commit, and that's why everybody has to be involved in creating the norms. I often talk about values because they are the DNA. Roy Disney, Walt Disney's brother, said if you're clear about your values, anyone can make a decision. Most bosses and managers do not want anyone to make a decision. They want to keep control. And for me, it's not about empowerment, because that means I'm going to give you the power, but I can take it back. It's actually about emancipation. I don't want to speak to you again. Trust you, go do it. Because I trust you enough that if you don't know what to do, you'll come back and ask. So distress is the normal situation where values are only a very small part of the process. Eustress, which is the good stress, like runners, competitors have when they go out, they're stressed, but it's a positive stress to perform better. That's when the values are in the middle. Sporting teams are a great analogy for this because the best teams might not have the best players, but they've got the best culture by far. You will know immediately any job or any team you've been in where the values are consistent, you feel safe to be yourself. It's that simple. It's the real stuff. Because the only thing that's real to you are your feelings, not any bloody IQ facts. That's why I call nonsense. So Forum and performance curve. Pseudo-forum, when you're maybe putting a forum just in the names, so there's maybe 6 to 10 people here. Pseudo-forum, put the framework in, you become a potential forum. With a bit more time, you become a real forum, and eventually you become a high-performing forum. And that's about the physical, just putting you together, the intellectual, the framework, the emotional in terms of becoming real, and the spiritual in terms of this is about peak performance, peak communication. And that's around the whole thing that society and humanity has done. PQ is pre-industrial, where it was just about bodies. IQ came in industrial times. Unfortunately, probably 90% of organizations are still operating in an industrial way, hierarchical, Newtonian, right and wrong, black and white, dualistic, divisive, brittle, short-term. Why? I don't know. Usually short-term money destroying people's lives in the process. And my view is, in Forum, less than 10% there, 12%, 35% real. So this is highly unusual because these purple figures are how I would see most businesses, and they go the opposite way. Command, manage, lead, and inspire, because we all want a greater sense of meaning. So the physical to live, intellectual to learn, emotional to love, and spiritual to leave a legacy. That's a journey we're all on. And schooling basically kills us off at the learning bit. School is about maintaining behaviour, education is about developing behaviour. Because the learning cycle is, I will not change unless I become self-aware. If I become self-aware, I can then self-control. If I self-control, I can become self-confident, and then I can become, in Maslow's terms, self-actualization or self-realization. At its worst, I'm an alcoholic until I stand before you and say I'm Les Morgan and I'm an alcoholic. I am not self-aware. Oh, I can stop next week. Oh, I'll reduce. Only then will I be self-aware. Only then will I start to self-control. Only then will I gain confidence from that, and only then will I become all I can be. And that's a never-ending spiral, never-ending. That's why EQ grows till the day you die, and IQ peaks at 21 and it diminishes thereafter. You're taught from the age of 5 or something that's going to diminish thereafter. Because humans are the only species on the planet that has a gap between stimulus and response. Response able. And all 4 things are EQ. That's what we should be. The School of Life is a wonderful organisation based in London. Read any of their material, fabulous. Because leadership's about EQ. What if exchange is the constant? What's the key? 92% leadership, 84% values, 75% communication, 69% team building. The IQ stuff is at the bottom. And if we look at leadership, what's the key? Trust and motivation, visioning, conceptual, they're all EQ again. Everybody knows this. Nobody does anything about it because all the bosses want to maintain the power. The companies in the Sunday Times Top 100 list earn 12.2% year-on-year more profit than similar companies in the FTSE 100. So if you focus on profit, you get less. You focus on people, you get more profit. And they're happy. Annual meeting of business managers that thought IQ was more important than EQ. Maybe in 2090, I don't know. For me, what Forum is something that opens a door, is something that gives you an opportunity, is something that, yes, should put you into discomfort, is something that will give you all of these things. Best example I can give is, I mentioned it to somebody earlier on tonight, a Forum retreat in Switzerland about 2 years ago, a mixed forum, I think 5 males and 3 females, a 2-day retreat, so we cover different areas. And the topic for one afternoon was premature ejaculation, because somebody had an issue. That's the real deal. That's human beings, that's not human doing. That's people revealing themselves to learn, to grow, to develop. And as Brené Brown says, your children will never be more self-aware than you are. It's your job. It's not their job. So I'll finish with a poem. It's a poem called Risk. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk involvement. To expose feelings is to risk exposing your true self. To place your dreams, your ideas, your dreams before the crowd is to risk their loss. And to love is to risk not being loved in return. To live is to risk dying, to hope is to risk despair, and to try is to risk failure. But risks must be taken, because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, and is nothing. They may avoid suffering or sorrow, but they cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, or live. Chained by their certainties, they are slaves. They have forfeited their freedom. Only a person who risks is truly free. Thanks so much.